Hey, everybody. I have an incredible friend, a longtime friend on the show today. Her name is Sarah. My beautiful friend, Sarah. It's so great to see you today. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you for having me, Francesca. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Sarah Armstrong. I'm a CPA and been in corporate finance for 30 years, married almost 30 years, a couple of grown children. Currently, I'm over in London with my husband on a work assignment. We have
Ooh.
been over here almost 4 years. So that's been a really wonderful experience. However, still working, kept my job in the United States, and I go back and forth, and that's been very interesting. But I don't really define myself by my career, so I like to think about also all the volunteer activities that I'm involved with. And my father is a military veteran, so I'm involved in some military charities back in
Oh,
Philadelphia. Yeah,
awesome.
and one called InfraGard, which is a public-private partnership with the FBI on matters of critical infrastructure. So that's
Wow.
what keeps me busy, Francesca.
Well, you are a busy woman. You've always impressed me, Sarah. I've known you since the beginning of your career. That's where we've crossed paths
Yes.
and we've reconnected today and we had some time together before we hit record. We have so many juicy things to talk about, Sarah, about leadership, being a good leader, and culture. What does that mean to you, Sarah?
It was wonderful that we were talking a little bit about this previously because, as you know, culture and kind of having come out of this pandemic, return to office, um, everyone talking about culture. What is culture? And the fact that now we know culture can mean different things to different people, just like
Mm.
things like leadership means different things to different people. But in my mind, culture really is the tone at the top that you
Yeah.
are setting. And when I say top, that doesn't mean the CEO.
Okay.
That it means the CEO and the person who is running the front line and the person who is answering the phones, right? The
Yep.
tone at your top that you are setting for everyone that is in your sphere of influence. So that's the thing that I think about a lot is things like your tone, your tact, your timing for giving feedback to people that you're
Right.
working with.
Right.
Also, things like building relationships, how important it is to build a culture of trust. So, to me, having a good culture, and that is also in your family life as well, right? Developing a
Sure.
good relationship. So,
Yeah.
I think about those things quite a bit and making sure that I'm doing a good job for my
Yeah.
team and my family.
It's so important, Sarah, for all the reasons and building trust, right? And how hard did you find that it was harder to do virtually? I know you said you've been back and forth. It's difficult because we can't see our bodies. We can't see our body language. How have you been able to make up for that?
Yes, you're absolutely correct, Francesca, that um, when we communicate with people, a very small percentage of what we are communicating are the actual words. I think the study is 7%. The
Mm.
balance is your tone and your body language. So here during this pandemic, I will say I almost always turn on my camera. If I'm having really any meeting, and
Yep.
the good thing is, I think we've gotten over, at least most of us, how we appear on camera. I think, especially my generation, I'm 53 years old. I grew up in a corporate America where you showed up every day, professionally dressed, your hair was done, everything done. And then all of a sudden, we were all thrown into this kind of upside down world. And you think, okay, well, I have a call, but I also just got in from walking the dog and my hair is a
Right.
mess. And fortunately, I think we've all gotten to the point that we've just become more accepting of, hey, show up as you are, bring your intellectual horsepower to this meeting.
Yes.
And whether or not your hair is done or not, or you have on a hoodie sweatshirt or a collared shirt, that has become secondary. And I think that's a good thing. So yes, I think it's been harder, but I think that my organization has overcome a lot of the challenges by just turning on the camera, see each other's faces.
Yes, and I agree with you on all points because yes, we have to see each other's faces and eyes, but like, it's really difficult to ensure that we're making direct eye contact because that's easy to do in person. And that's a way we've established trust. But when we can't do that and we can't be 100% sure, yes, putting on that camera ensures that we are engaged in the conversation. And like you said, bringing in that intellectual horsepower. I love that. It's so important and important in building that culture of support, right, Sarah? Like in supporting
Absolutely.
each other in our success.
And Francesca, the camera is not the same as being in
That's right.
person, but it's a relatively decent substitute because look at us right now. You and I are 4,500 miles apart or thereabouts, and we're able to have a conversation. And
Right.
I think that that is something very positive to have come out of this very challenging time for everyone in the world. So there are some good things about culture that we can bring to the table and take
Right.
some of the tools, right? I mean, part of culture is leveraging tools, and that's what we're
That's
doing
right.
right now.
That's right. Oh, so well stated. What other things do you think leaders should pay attention to, Sarah, in in building and creating a culture for their staff?
Yes. Um, there's a couple of key things that I think about quite a bit when I think about leadership is the ability to detach as the
Mm,
leader and to be able to when especially when things are challenging, maybe you're not hitting your numbers for the quarter, maybe you didn't deliver the product when you said, maybe you got a call from a customer that was very unhappy about something, to be able to detach from your emotions and and it's a skill, and you have to practice this skill. When you start to feel your emotions ramping up, it's almost like the check engine light is coming on in your car, and you're like,
mm,
okay, I can feel those things happening. Then I need to take a breath, step back, detach from the situation, and start figuring out how I can rectify what's going on. And that also leads back to this whole culture thing. I have always made sure that anyone that worked for me understood that I firmly believe bad news does not get better with age. If something
mm.
is going wrong, please bring it to me as quickly as possible because time and speed is a competitive advantage to solving problems. So if your people are afraid of you, they're going to try to keep something bad from you as long as possible, because if
Right.
they know that you have a tendency to blow up when things don't go well, they'll try to fix it, and then maybe by the time you find out, it's too late and you've
Yeah.
lost a key customer, or a key supplier has said, I've had enough with you, I'm done. So I think that it's absolutely a competitive advantage, and it creates a wonderful culture to yourself be able to detach emotionally from a situation, and also to make sure that the rest of your team knows that bad news never gets better with age. those
Mm.
are
That
those are important
is
things. Yep.
so important. And I love that you've said that. I've experienced it, right? When you're too afraid at how someone's going to react. And like you said, it's not going to get better. And creating and cultivating, right, that personality within the workplace. And I can guarantee you it's going to help you at home too, right? So
Right.
working on yourself in saying, okay, I want people to be honest with me. They're helping me. I want to help them help me. So I love that advice. It's
Yeah.
gold star on that one, Sarah.
And that comes from a place of humility too. You have to be able to
Mm,
own your own mistakes so that people feel comfortable bringing you their mistakes. And the oftentimes, this is really an important piece of advice for young people in their career, is to make sure that you're communicating clearly with your leadership, and that you're telling them what sort of tools that you need to be successful, and that if you are thinking about bringing some bad news to your boss, how do you also try to bring them some solutions?
mm,
And that will help this culture of trust be built with your leadership. And I think that has helped me certainly a lot. And the other thing is, we all make mistakes. There's not a single leader out there that doesn't make a mistake. And when you own it and just say, wow, I forgot to respond to that customer's email and they're really angry. And if you own that mistake, then people are more likely to trust you. It's a dichotomy, because people think if I tell them I did something wrong, they're going to be angry. It's like,
Mm,
no, if you don't tell me something went wrong, it's going to be a problem. So
right, right.
those are some things
No,
about relationships and trust, which ultimately builds a culture where people want to work. Like, why do we care about what the culture is, right? So it's,
right,
what is culture and why do we care? Well, we care because we spend an awful lot of time at work, right?
right,
Building relationships. You think about, look at us. It's been 30
right,
years, when we first
right.
started working together and we were like
That's
kids,
right. We were
right?
kids. That's right.
We were kids. And now here we are all these years later, hopefully with some more wisdom and being able to share that with others. And that's why it's important. We spend a lot of time at work and we all want to feel as if our contribution in the workplace has value.
That's right. So well said, Sarah. It is about the value, and it's also the value we place on ourselves and being honest and truthful with ourselves, which help us become better people, better employees, better partners, and all of that thing. So it's kind of the whole picture we're talking about here, and paying attention to, perhaps being a little vulnerable in times when, you might not think it's appropriate, but sharing what's important to you is really
Absolutely.
appropriate always, right?
Yes. And when you build those relationships with your coworkers, even your own boss, I'm very good friends with my boss as well as my teammates, that over time, that relationship of trust, it will enable you to be a little bit more discerning and tuned into what's going on in their lives. We talked about this a little bit in the green room as well, that, nowadays, thank goodness, we're talking a lot about mental health and mental health
Yes.
resources available to people. But you can't just go to someone at work and say, hey, you seem angry.
Right.
Why don't you call someone? Right? That's not going to fly. What will is, over time, building a relationship of trust, being tuned into that person and recognizing that something is likely going on in their lives, and being able to go to them in a caring way and say, I'm concerned. You've seemed really anxious at work in the last couple of
Right.
months. I want to, as a leader myself, I would start off with something like, I want to make sure, first of all, you understand that we have resources available for you, and it's part of your benefits program. And I want you to understand that I completely support if you need some time off. And I want you to understand that everybody has challenges like this. So if you need something from me, I want you to know I am there for you. And again, culture, right? Relationships, trust, but you have to come at those harder conversations so that, with those things supporting you, so that
Right.
that person knows you're there to help. You're an
Yep.
ally.
Yep. Oh, geez, my heart is so full because what we're saying here is meet them where they are. Meet them where
Absolutely.
they are, support them, regardless of what you know or what you don't know, be there, right?
And
Be there for them.
what's really nice now that I am 30 years into my career is I do have the advantage of being able to look back and recognize that there are seasons to our life. There
Mm,
are there are times where things are really hard and crazy, and maybe you are, I was married, two kids, full-time job, a mortgage, a dog, like, parents that needed
right.
me, that and you just felt like you were never going to get your head above water. And now I'm in a different season, right? And
That's
now I
right.
have more time to be able to reconnect with friends or read a book or, support a coworker, all that sort of thing. And I think that's another important takeaway for your listeners, is that if they're in a challenging season, it don't lose hope. First of all, get help if you need help, professional help if you need professional help. Certainly make sure that you're taking care of all the things that you need to, getting your sleep, getting your water, getting outside for some exercise. And studies are now showing that one of the most important things for longevity and our mental health is friendships, good
Yes.
friendships, someone
So,
to talk to, right?
yes.
So cultivate those friendships. whether it's reconnecting with a friend that you first met 30 years ago, or
That's right.
taking a walk with your next door neighbor, taking a walking meeting with a coworker, right?
Yep.
We
Yep.
That's one thing coming out of this pandemic, is that the old status quo of, we will have a 3 o'clock meeting, we will sit in the conference room, and we will, all of those rules are broken. All of that is off the table. We can start over and say, you know what? Let's do a 30-minute walking meeting. Make
Right.
sure you bring your shoes tomorrow. So
Yep.
I think all of those things really can help build a culture that you can be proud of.
Exactly. And it supports the wellness and the well-being. But
Mhm.
I love the part of building the friendships. We are not alone, right?
Mm-mm.
Reminding ourselves of that, like you said, regardless of the season that you're in, remember that there are people going through the same things, have gone through the same things, and to reach out. And once we can shift that mindset, Sarah, like that's where we grow. So I love that you brought that up in supporting each other and reminding ourselves that we are not alone. Oh, this is just so beautiful. I just don't want it to end. But in all of your travels, you have to have a favorite piece of clothing or accessory. And how does it make you feel? Like, what's your one piece, Sarah? Do you have something that you always turn to?
I do, and I wouldn't say always. It's something very special that comes
Okay.
out just for special occasions. I'm fortunate to come from a long line of strong women, and I have a brooch that was my great grandmother's, and
Mm,
it's an eagle, and I just love it. And when I put that on, I think about the connections of generations. It makes me feel strong. It makes me feel proud. I'm very fortunate that I've had all these positive role models in my life, and I recognize that that's not something everyone has. But you can find that, you can make your own legacy, start your own
yes.
legacy, so that your great grandchild one day has a little bit of a piece of you that they can put on and feel strong. I do have a small brooch that comes out on rare occasions when I need a little extra something.
Wow, that really touches my heart. It's so special. I can envision you putting that on and your shoulders lifting and your back lifting, just feeling so powerful and strong. I love that example. What a beautiful, like you said, legacy that you have, that you share. Well, so Sarah, such great information here today. If someone wanted to continue the conversation with you, where's the best place for them to reach out to you?
Certainly, and I'm always happy to connect with others. LinkedIn is a great place, and
Great.
as is Instagram. And I'm pretty easy to find there, and I'm sure I'll
Yes.
give you the information.
Great. And what I'll do is I'll put it in the show notes. So all that people have to do is tap on it and we'll be good. So thank you again so much for taking the time. Your clock is different than mine, but I feel as if we are in the same space right here today. So thank you, Sarah. You've just been amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, Francesca.